In the grim darkness of the far future, where there is only war, some flames burn brighter than others. Some flames consume not just flesh and bone but doubt itself, leaving behind something purer and more terrible than mere humanity ever dared to be. This is the story of Sister Seraphina of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, and what it means to become a living weapon of absolute faith. The sacred flamer's pilot light flickers in the darkness of Underhive Tertius, its blue flame dancing like a prayer made manifest. Sister Seraphina kneels among the ashes of her work, her crimson power armor scarred by righteous battle, each gouge and scorch mark a testament to her devotion. The air reeks of burned promethium and sanctified death, the sweet incense of purification mingling with the acrid stench of cleansed corruption. Around her, the remains of what were once heretics lie scattered like broken dolls, their twisted forms finally at peace. Each corpse represents a soul freed from the chains of damnation, each death a mercy granted by the Emperor's chosen daughter. Her gauntleted hands trace the sign of the Aquila over the smoking ruins, whispering the prayer of cleansing that has become as natural as breathing. But the woman who kneels here now was not always this perfect instrument of divine will. Once, she was merely human, plagued by doubt and weakness like all mortals. The transformation from flesh to faith, from woman to weapon, is a journey written in fire and blood across the underbelly of the Imperium. On Ophelia VII, within the towering spires of the convent sanctorum, the machine of sacred transformation grinds eternally onward. Here, beneath soaring buttresses and stained glass windows depicting the Emperor's glory, young women surrender their individual will to become something greater and more terrible. The air thrums with constant prayer, the sound of 10,000 voices raised in perfect unison, a harmony that drowns out the whispers of doubt and conscience. Sister Seraphina arrived at these hallowed halls as barely more than a child, her faith burning bright but unfocused, like raw promethium awaiting refinement. The convent sanctorum would be her crucible, the place where every weakness would be identified and burned away, leaving only the pure essence of devotion. The daily regimen began before dawn with the matinal prayers, 10,000 voices raised as one in praise of the God Emperor. The words carved themselves into her soul, each repetition wearing away another layer of individual thought until only sacred purpose remained. The rule of the sororitas governed every moment, every breath, every heartbeat measured against the standard of absolute faith. Training with bolter and blade, flamer and fury, became a form of worship. Each weapon was blessed, sanctified, treated as a holy relic worthy of reverence. The weight of power armor became familiar, its ceramite plates not just protection, but a second skin that bound her more closely to her sacred duty. Through repetition and ritual, the tools of war became extensions of her faith. Yet it was not until her first true encounter with heresy that Sister Seraphina understood the depth of evil that festered in humanity's heart. The memory burns in her mind still, clear as the day it happened, the moment her innocence died and her true purpose was born. Sister Superior Magdalene had been her mentor, a veteran warrior whose faith blazed like a beacon in the darkness. Together they had descended into the bowels of Hive Primus to root out a cult of chaos worshippers, their twisted rituals poisoning the very air with corruption. The heretics had seemed so weak, so pitiful in their delusions, that Seraphina had almost felt pity for them. That pity died screaming when the cultists revealed their true nature, when human forms twisted into blasphemous shapes and innocent voices spoke words that should not exist in any sane universe. Sister Superior Magdalene fell first, her faith-strong soul torn from her body by claws that existed in dimensions beyond mortal comprehension. The sight of her mentor's mutilated corpse was Seraphina's first glimpse into the abyss that humanity faced. In that moment of horror, as chaos spawn closed in from all directions, something fundamental shifted within her soul. The Emperor's light blazed through her like molten gold, burning away fear and doubt and weakness, leaving only crystalline certainty. Her flamer ignited for the first time in true combat, and the blessed promethium became an extension of the Emperor's will, cleansing the unclean with righteous fire. The screams of the burning heretics sounded like hymns to her transformed senses. Each death was a purification, each flame a prayer answered. When the last cultist fell, consumed by holy fire, Sister Seraphina understood that she was no longer merely human. She had become something purer, something necessary, something terrible in its perfect devotion. The daily life of a sister of battle is measured not in hours but in prayers, not in distance but in souls cleansed. Each dawn brings the matinal prayers, voices raised in unison as the Emperor's light spreads across the sky. Each weapon is blessed, each piece of armor sanctified, every tool of war treated as a sacred relic deserving of reverence. The Voxcaster crackles to life with reports of heretical activity, coordinates marked for purification, souls designated for cleansing. Sister Seraphina moves through the underhive like an avenging angel, her power armor's servo motors humming litanies of hate, her weapons thirsting for heretical blood. The weight of her flamer has become as familiar as her own heartbeat, its blessed promethium ready to deliver the Emperor's mercy to the undeserving. Patrol routes wind through the forgotten places where corruption festers like an infected wound, in the shadows between hab blocks, in the forgotten corners where imperial law has never penetrated. The seeds of heresy take root and grow. It is here that the Sisters of Battle do their most sacred work, cutting out the cancer before it can spread to healthy flesh. Interrogation becomes a form of prayer, each question designed to reveal the depth of corruption, each answer measured against the standard of absolute purity. The blessed tools of the trade leave their marks on heretical flesh, but their true purpose is to cleanse the soul, to burn away the lies and reveal the truth beneath. Pain becomes a sacrament, suffering a gift that opens the path to redemption. Yet even the most devoted servant of the God Emperor must face moments when the human heart rebels against the demands of faith. In the silence of her cell, kneeling before the shrine to Saint Catherine, Sister Seraphina feels the weight of conscience pressing down upon her like a physical thing. The faces of the burned haunt her dreams, not just heretics and cultists but innocents caught in the cleansing flames. Children's screams echo in her memory, their pure voices raised not in prayer but in terror as righteous fire consumes everything in its path. The doctrine is clear, the necessity undeniable, yet something weak and human within her soul whispers that perhaps the price of purity has grown too high. Such thoughts are dangerous, treasonous, heretical in their implications. The confessor's sessions probe these weaknesses like a surgeon's blade, cutting away doubt and replacing it with certainty. Each question is designed to reveal the depth of her commitment, each answer measured against the standard of absolute faith. The fear grows that her wavering devotion might itself be a form of corruption, worthy of the same cleansing flames she has wielded against others. Fellow sisters begin to notice her hesitation during executions, the slight pause before pulling the trigger that speaks of human conscience interfering with divine duty. In the mess hall, conversations grow quieter when she approaches. During evening prayers, she catches suspicious glances from battle sisters whose faith burns untroubled by doubt. The breaking point arrives with the purge of Hab Block Tertius, where intelligence reports indicate chaos cultists have infiltrated an entire residential section. The corruption runs deep, they say, tainting innocent families who have harbored the heretics among them. The Order's doctrine is clear: complete purification, regardless of collateral damage, lest the taint spread to contaminate others. Sister Seraphina stands before the sealed door, her flamer ready, knowing that innocents cower behind the reinforced barrier alongside the cultists they've sheltered. Her finger hovers over the trigger as her battle sisters watch, waiting to see if she will choose duty or damnation. The weight of their gaze presses down upon her like the judgment of the God Emperor himself. Inside the sealed Hab unit, voices pray in terror, calling out to the same Emperor whose servant stands ready to deliver his burning judgment upon them. The irony tastes like ashes in her mouth, the cruel necessity of becoming the monster that faithful humans pray will protect them from monsters. Yet this is the burden of the Adepta Sororitas, to bear the weight of necessary evil so that others need not. The moment of decision stretches like an eternity, conscience warring against duty in a battle for her very soul. The human part of her whispers of mercy, of finding another way, of preserving the innocent along with the guilty. But the sister of battle within her knows that such weakness is the first step toward corruption, that compromise is the thin edge of the wedge that splits faithful souls. The Emperor's light blazes through her doubt like fire through parchment, burning away the last vestiges of human weakness. Her finger tightens on the trigger, and blessed promethium roars to life, consuming guilty and innocent alike with divine indifference. The screams of the burning become a hymn of purification that lifts her spirit to ecstatic heights. In that moment of ultimate choice, the transformation is complete. Sister Seraphina understands with crystalline clarity that she is no longer human, no longer bound by mortal considerations of right and wrong. She has become a living weapon of absolute faith, a conduit for the Emperor's will, terrible and beautiful in her perfect certainty. The flames consume everything, heretic and innocent united in purifying fire, their ashes mixing indiscriminately in death as they could never do in life. The distinction no longer matters to her transformed senses. All that exists is the sacred duty, the blessed flame, the righteous cleansing that burns away corruption and leaves only purity behind. Acts of faith begin to manifest through her perfect devotion, supernatural abilities powered by absolute conviction. Her very presence inspires terror in heretics and awe in the faithful, the Emperor's light burning so brightly within her that lesser mortals cannot meet her gaze directly. She becomes living proof of what humanity can achieve when it surrenders individual will to divine purpose. The woman she once was dies in those flames, consumed as surely as any heretic, leaving behind only the perfect instrument of the God Emperor's will. Conscience becomes a luxury the galaxy cannot afford, mercy a weakness that enables corruption to spread. What remains is purer than human, more focused than mortal, as relentless as faith itself. Years pass like pages turning in a sacred tome, each marked by purges completed and heretics cleansed. Sister Seraphina rises through the ranks of the order, her reputation spreading across the sector like wildfire. The woman who once hesitated at a trigger now moves through her duties with mechanical precision, each action predetermined by perfect faith. As canoness, she leads her battle sisters into the darkest corners of human space, bringing the Emperor's light to places where corruption has festered for millennia. Her name becomes a prayer spoken by the faithful, a curse uttered by enemies, a legend that will outlive the flesh that carries it. Young sisters study her methods while secretly fearing to follow too closely in her footsteps. The worlds she has cleansed bear the scars of her passage for generations, entire populations reduced to ash and memory in the name of purity. Yet where her flames have passed, corruption cannot take root again. The price is paid in innocent blood, but the prize is humanity's continued existence in a galaxy that offers no gentle alternatives. She no longer dreams or experiences doubt, existing in a state of perfect certainty that mortal minds cannot comprehend. Sleep brings not rest but visions of future purges, blessed revelations of heresy yet to be cleansed. Waking and sleeping blur together in an endless cycle of sacred duty, each breath drawn in service to the God Emperor. Her battle sisters look upon her with mixture of reverence and terror, seeing their own potential futures reflected in her transformed state. They witness the price of perfect devotion written in her emotionless features, the cost of absolute faith carved into her soul. Some aspire to follow her path, while others pray they will never face such complete transformation. In the halls of the Schola Progenium, learned theologians debate what her transformation truly represents. Some argue that such perfect servants embody humanity's highest aspiration, the complete surrender of self to divine will. Others whisper darker theories, suggesting that beings so thoroughly transformed have moved beyond humanity into something closer to machine than mortal. The Ecclesiarchy promotes her example as the ideal all sisters should strive toward, a living saint whose very existence proves the power of absolute faith. Critics wonder if the Emperor truly intended his servants to become so utterly inhuman, sacrificing the very qualities that make humanity worth preserving. The question remains whether such perfect instruments can still experience the Emperor's love, or only channel his wrath. Perhaps the answer lies not in academic debate, but in the flames themselves, in the roar of blessed Prometheum and the screams of the purified. In a galaxy where survival demands impossible choices, where corruption spreads through the slightest weakness, perhaps such perfect servants represent not the death of humanity, but its evolution into something capable of enduring the grim darkness of the far future. The Emperor's daughters march on through burning worlds and darkened void, carrying his light into places where hope has never shone. They are beautiful and terrible in their absolute conviction, perfect in their deadly purpose, necessary in ways that mortal conscience cannot comprehend. Behind them they leave ashes and silence, ahead of them stretches eternity. Sister Seraphina stands now as she always will, flame ready, faith unshakable, a living embodiment of humanity's choice to sacrifice individuality for survival. The woman she once was, lives only in the memory of others, consumed by the same fire that burns within her still. What remains is purer than human emotion, stronger than mortal will, as eternal as faith itself. In the end, perhaps it matters little what fuel feeds the flame, only that it continues to burn bright against the encroaching dark. The Sisters of Battle represent humanity's final answer to an impossible galaxy, the price paid willingly so that others might live free of corruption's taint. They are both salvation and damnation, mercy and murder, love and hatred forged into perfect unity. The sacred fire burns on, consuming all in its path, purifying the galaxy one soul at a time. In the grim darkness of the far future, where there is only war, some flames burn brighter than others. Some flames are fed by doubt and weakness, flickering in the wind of adversity. But others burn with the fuel of absolute conviction, growing stronger with each soul they consume, eternal as the Emperor's will itself. This is what it means to be a Sister of Battle, to carry the sacred flame into the darkness and let it consume everything that stands between humanity and purity. This is the price of faith in an faithless galaxy, the cost of hope in a hopeless age. In the ashes of the purged, in the silence of the cleansed, in the memory of necessary sacrifice, the truth burns bright and terrible. The Emperor protects, and his daughters are the instruments of that protection, beautiful and terrible in their perfect devotion. In their flames, corruption dies, in their faith, humanity endures. In their sacrifice, the species finds its salvation, purchased with the coin of individual conscience and paid in full with righteous blood. Forever and always, until the stars burn out and the galaxy grows cold, the sacred fire will continue to burn. The Sisters of Battle will march through eternity, carrying light into darkness, bringing death to the corrupt, offering mercy to the pure. They are humanity's final gift to itself, the price paid so that innocence might survive in a galaxy that devours the weak. In the name of the Emperor, the flames burn on,